Oriyomi Street was a place where life never seemed to slow down. Its bustling corners echoed with market cries and the laughter of children playing soccer by the roadside. But among the crowd, one woman always stood out, Shalewa. Her beauty was legendary. She was the type of woman who could make traffic halt with a mere smile. With her caramel skin, eyes that sparkled like morning dew, and a walk that commanded attention, Shalewa was a goddess in her own right. Men desired her, and women often envied the effortless grace she exuded. Among her many admirers were two men who seemed to compete for her heart, Femi and Dayo. They couldn't have been more different. Femi was the kind of man who made a grand entrance wherever he went. He had dreadlocks, a confident swagger, and a reputation as a neighborhood Casanova. Femi knew how to talk his way into anyone's heart and wallet. He was a gigolo, unashamed of the fact that he made a living off wealthy women who fell for his charms. The rumor mill had it that he dates older women who funds his flamboyant lifestyle, and that he had in the past dated his friend's mother, and that was what brought about their quarrel and split till date. Dayo, on the other hand, was quiet, respectful, and hardworking. He had a stable job as an engineer, dressed modestly, and treated everyone with kindness. Unlike Femi, who thrived on drama and excitement, Dayo was a simple man who valued honesty and loyalty. He was the type to spend a weekend indoors, enjoying good books, homemade food, or catching up on work. Yet, despite their differences, both men were drawn to Shalewa, and each believed he could win her heart. Shalewa's friends, especially her closest confidant, Oriofe, were unanimous in their disapproval of Femi. Oriofe, a woman with a sharp instinct, saw through Femi's flashy lifestyle. She had tried multiple times to warn Shalewa, but her friend refused to listen. Femi is fun, he makes me laugh, and I never have a dull moment with him, Shalewa argued one afternoon while they sat at a restaurant. But he's a cheat, Shalewa, Oriofe countered. He's not sincere, he will hurt you, mark my words. Why don't you give Dayo a chance? He's a good man and he truly cares for you. Dayo? Shalewa asked, shaking her head. He's too gentle for my liking. I need excitement, not someone who will bore me with his seriousness. Imagine the other day we went for a date. He could barely express himself. He was just smiling all through, like a woman, Shalewa said. No matter what, her friend said, Shalewa found herself choosing Femi every time. One day, Shalewa's friend had seen Femi entering a hotel with another girl, and they decided to snap them secretly and went to show Shalewa. She still created an excuse for him, saying it might be his cousin. Cousin in the hotel, her friend screamed. She loved the thrill Femi brought into her life, and no one could tell her otherwise. But behind Femi's playful exterior was a dark side that she chose to ignore. He was possessive, quick-tempered, and manipulative. When Femi wasn't spending time with Shalewa, he was entertaining other women, a fact he never bothered to hide. Whenever Shalewa confronted him, it ended in an argument where she was left in tears. I have warned you severally never to confront me. It's my life. I owe no one any explanation, even you. So far, I have time for you. The rest shouldn't be your business. She was in a toxic relationship, but she didn't know how to help herself. Femi was her bad habit. She hated the fact that he loved him that much. She was really not benefiting anything from the relationship aside outing and some good time. But to her, every time spent with Femi was golden. In fact, on one occasion, Femi asked her for a loan. She was not having so much at that time, and this wasn't happening for the first time. As Femi was renowned for collecting loans he couldn't refund. Femi, I don't have money this time, Shalewa said. Perhaps every other money I have given to you in the past, you do not refund. This time is different. I want to quickly use it for a business deal. Trust me, I will refund. Femi continued to sweet talk her and calling her all manner of sweet names. Shalewa said, "All I have is our house rent." "Are you sure if I give it to you, you will refund it?" Shalewa asked. Once again, Femi assured her, and that was how she gave Femi the money. Femi had promised to refund in a week. Week became month. When she confronted him, Femi shouted at her and told her the business he had invested in had gone south and there was nothing he could do about it. Shalewa cried that night and refused to tell any of her friends because she knew they would chastise her. She had sleepless nights because she didn't know how to tell her mother what had happened. Few days later, the landlord already started disturbing them for the rent. Her mom asked her for the money and she couldn't explain. Her mom chased her out of the house to go look for the money. She couldn't bring herself to tell her mom she had given the money to a man, an irresponsible man for that matter. She was sitting down in a corner, lost in thoughts, how she would get the money when Dayo saw her. He asked her what was making her that moody, and Shalewa explained everything, but didn't tell him she had given the money to Femi. Dayo agreed to pay back the money, and Shalewa brightened up immediately, full of appreciation. Few weeks later, Femi came back to apologize after he was told the house rent had been sorted out. Shalewa was angry at first. "Imagine how you treated me. Do you know because of you, my mom drove me away from the house? Do you know the mental torture I went through? If not for Dayo who paid, what would have become of me and my family?" Femi apologized and Shalewa once again accepted. Femi remained unrepentant. One day, he was hanging out with Shalewa, then all of a sudden, an elderly woman walked in looking angry. Femi was shocked at first, but later he played along. Obviously, the elderly woman was one of his sugar mummies, sustaining his lifestyle. "Who is she? And what is she doing here?" the woman roared. Femi immediately told her that Shalewa was his cousin who just came into town. Shalewa had no option than to play along. The woman, who was very angry before, suddenly started smiling. "Oh, I thought she was your girlfriend," she said. Femi quickly dismissed it. "No, never. How can I do that? I have no other one in my life aside you," he told her. It all looked like a drama to Shalewa. Immediately the woman left, Shalewa started crying. Femi consoled her that he was just using the woman to raise money for their wedding. Months passed and the crack in Shalewa's relationship with Femi became more apparent. One night, after an intense argument over a mysterious phone call Femi received from another woman, he slapped her hard across the face. It wasn't the first time he had raised his hand to her, but this time felt different. The blow left a ringing in her ears and she stumbled backward, clutching her cheek in disbelief. "Don't ever question me again," Femi hissed, grabbing his jacket and storming out. Shalewa spent the night crying alone, her face swollen from the impact. It was then she realized that the man he had chosen over Dayo was the one breaking her down pieces by pieces. But despite everything, she stayed. She told herself she loved him and he would change. It was only when her health began to decline that she realized the full extent of the damage. One morning, she woke up with an unbearable pain in her abdomen. Her vision blurred, and she felt too weak to get out of bed. Her friends rushed her to the hospital. She was on admission for 2 weeks, and Femi only came to see her once. After several tests and scans, she was diagnosed for a kidney ailment. At that point, her parents were running out of cash already, and Femi was not there to assist. Things got bad and the doctor said Shalewa will need a kidney transplant to be alive. That was the last day Femi was seen around the hospital. Shalewa called Femi, her voice shaking, as she told him the news. "Femi, they say I need a kidney transplant." Femi's voice was distant, distracted. "Look, I'm kind of busy right now. I'll check up on you later." He never came. Days turned into weeks, and Shaliwa's condition worsened. Femi stopped answering her calls. It was in her lowest moments, while she lay on the hospital bed, frail and weak, that Dayo walked in. Dayo hadn't seen Shaliwa in months, but when he heard about her condition from Oriofe, he rushed to her side. He was shocked by what he saw. The once vibrant woman he loved was now a shadow of herself, her skin pale and her eyes swollen. "Shaliwa," he whispered, taking her hands gently. "Dayo." Her voice was a mere whisper filled with regret. "I'm sorry." "Don't talk," Dayo said, his heart breaking at the sight of her tears. Dayo took it upon himself to get tested as a potential donor. When the results came back as a match, he didn't hesitate for a moment. He agreed to donate one of his kidneys to save her life, even though everyone warned him against it. He couldn't bear to see her suffer, even if it meant putting himself at risk. Her parents were so grateful as they were willing to donate, but they said theirs didn't match. The surgery was a success, and Shaliwa slowly began to recover. Dayo stayed by her side throughout the process, caring for her, encouraging her, and giving her the strength to heal. As she regained her health, she realized how much Dayo truly loved her. She promised herself that she would never take him for granted again. He did not only donate his kidney, he even sold his car to settle the bills. Just when it seemed like Shaliwa had turned a new leaf, Femi showed up at her doorstep one evening, looking remorseful. "I heard about what happened," he said, his eyes misty with what looked like a genuine regret. "I'm sorry, Shaliwa. I made a mistake. I never stopped loving you." Against her better judgment, Shaliwa forgave him. Despite everything Dayo had done, she found herself drawn back to the excitement and danger that Femi represented. She didn't even think twice before abandoning Dayo, leaving him heartbroken and humiliated. Shaliwa and Oriofe had a serious quarrel over the issue, which even made them part ways as friends. It became the juiciest gist in Uriyomi Street. While some sympathized with Dayo, others made jest of him, calling him a woman rapper. One day, as they passed, some group of men playing draft started laughing. They said, "May God not let us be heartbroken with one kidney." They laughed out loud again. Dayo couldn't stay on Uriyomi Street after that. The shame was too much. He packed his belongings and moved to a new neighborhood, determined to start afresh and put the painful memories behind him. It was very difficult to move on because he truly loved Shaliwa. 8 months later, Shaliwa discovered Femi's infidelity once again. This time, it wasn't just a casual affair. Femi had been living with another woman, flaunting their relationship openly. When she confronted him, he beat her mercilessly and threw her out. It was even later she heard Femi had impregnated 2 other girls. Desperate and broken, Shaliwa realized she had made the biggest mistake of her life. She regretted accepting Femi. She cursed herself for leaving Dayo. After lots of contemplating, she decided to go back to Dayo, certain that he would take her back. After all, he had always loved her unconditionally. She got his new address from his former neighbor, and she rehearsed the apology all the way there. When she arrived there, she was surprised the house was even finer than the one he was staying before. She knocked on the door. It wasn't Dayo that opened it. It was Oriofe, her former best friend, heavily pregnant. "What are you doing here?" Shaliwa asked, her eyes wide with shock. "What am I doing here?" Oriofe replied with a smirk. "I am home. This is my husband's house." Just then, Dayo appeared behind her, a look of calm satisfaction on his face. "You're not needed here, Shaliwa," he said quietly. "Please go." "But Dayo," Shaliwa pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. I just realized how much I love you." "It's too late," Dayo replied.
Keep the kidney. Let it always remind you of how badly you treated the one person who truly cared for you. As Salewa turned and walked away, her sobs echoing down the street, she knew she had lost everything. This time, there will be no second chance.